Child stardom isn't easy for anyone, and for the kids of the 70s, it wasn't any different. Behind the smiles captured on screen were haunting tales of tragedy that would forever mark their lives. The demanding work hours and constant exposure to the harsh spotlight deprived these youngsters of a typical childhood. While a few managed to navigate the challenges of immense fame, many others faced difficulties, leading them down paths far from happiness. Join us as we delve into the poignant narratives of the 6 most tragic stories of 1970s child stars, exploring the highs, lows, and heart-wrenching struggles that define their journeys beyond the spotlight. 1. Gary Coleman. For the millions of viewers hooked on the hit NBC sitcom Different Strokes, Gary Coleman was the main attraction. Regarded as one of the most successful child stars from the late 70s to early 80s, Coleman's adorable delivery of his famous catchphrase, "What you talkin' 'bout, Willis?" made him instantly recognizable, his petty-to-frame barely containing his larger-than-life personality. While outsiders saw Coleman as having hit the Hollywood jackpot with a successful TV show, a hefty paycheck, and the kind of fame many can only dream of, Coleman himself viewed his childhood quite differently. "I would not give my first 15 years to my worst enemy, and I don't even have a worst enemy," Coleman shared in a 2001 interview with the Associated Press. As it is now widely known, Coleman and his fellow young co-stars on Different Strokes, Dana Plato and Todd Bridges, didn't exactly lead charmed lives after the show concluded. Bridges faced an extended battle with substance abuse, eventually turning his life around. Plato encountered similar struggles but tragically succumbed to a drug overdose at the age of 34. While Coleman avoided involvement with drugs, his life post Different Strokes proved to be a challenging journey, marked by health issues, relationship troubles, financial struggles, and the difficulties faced by someone whose professional peak occurred before reaching adolescence. Gary Coleman, born in 1968, faced significant health challenges from the very beginning. Adopted at the age of 4 days by W.G. Willard Coleman, a pharmaceutical sales representative, and his wife Sue, a nurse practitioner, Gary entered the world with a set of health issues diagnosed at birth. The most prominent among these challenges was nephritis, a congenital kidney defect that necessitated dialysis for a significant portion of his life. Gary underwent 2 kidney transplants, the first at the tender age of 5 and the second at 16 after the initial donor kidney failed. Given his medical condition, Gary humorously remarked to people that he ingested so many pills a day, you'd think I'd rattle. His kidney ailment also impacted Gary's growth, causing him to perpetually appear younger than his actual age throughout childhood. By the time he reached adulthood, Gary's height had only reached 4'8". What many viewers may not have realized was that Gary often battled serious illness while filming Different Strokes. Todd Bridges, his co-star on the show, criticized Gary's parents in an interview with the Young Turks, recounting instances when Gary fell seriously ill due to his body rejecting a donor's kidney. Bridges expressed his disbelief that Gary's parents would force him to work while he was throwing up and visibly unwell. The actor faced challenges securing roles as an adult. Gary Coleman, whose diminutive stature carried the weight of Different Strokes' success, had become one of the highest-paid stars on television during its run. His initial earnings were $1,500 per episode, eventually soaring to an impressive $70,000 per episode. By the time the show concluded in 1986, Coleman, at 18, had amassed an estimated $18 million. In a typical scenario, the star of a long-running TV series would have a plethora of lucrative opportunities after its conclusion. However, Coleman found himself strongly identified with his character and, from the perspective of Hollywood casting agents, perceived as an adult trapped in a child's body. Consequently, he grappled with securing acting gigs in the years following Different Strokes. Over the decade post-cancellation, Coleman only accrued a modest number of screen credits, primarily through one-off guest appearances on TV shows, including reprising his Different Strokes role on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Summing up the challenges, Coleman's former agent, Vic Perillo, candidly remarked to the Los Angeles Times, "Face it, there just aren't that many jobs out there for a 4-foot, 8-inch black man." Gary Coleman's tumultuous legal battles unfolded prominently with his parents. During his child star years, Coleman's parents managed not only his career, but also his financial and business affairs. The situation took a complicated turn in 1989 when Coleman abruptly dismissed most of his team, including his publicist, agent, business manager, lawyer, and even his parents. In a surprising move, he handed over the reins of his career and financial matters to Dion Miel, a friend described as a Michael Jackson impersonator currently between jobs. Alarmed by this shift, Coleman's mother took legal action, filing a lawsuit to establish a conservatorship that would grant her control over his fortune, then valued at over $6 million. Coleman responded with a lawsuit of his own, accusing his parents and former manager of systematically exploiting him over the years. In turn, they countersued, alleging breach of contract and defamation. The legal saga unfolded over 4 years, with the 1993 verdict reported by Variety declaring in Coleman's favor. The jury found that the three had overpaid themselves during a 5-year period when Coleman was a minor, ordering them to pay restitution of $1,280,520 to Coleman. The repercussions of these intense legal battles lingered throughout Coleman's life, creating a lasting strain on his relationship with his parents. Reflecting on this tumultuous period, the actor's father lamented, "When Gary turned 18 years old, you know how you do a horse. We were put out to pasture." As the years went by, Gary Coleman found acting opportunities dwindling, prompting him to take on a job as a security guard in a California mall by 1998. However, this move led to legal trouble when he faced assault charges over allegations of punching a female autograph seeker in the face. During his trial, covered by Court TV, Coleman entered a plea of no contest. He admitted to punching Tracy Fields, the plaintiff and a bus driver who outweighed him by nearly 140 pounds. Coleman argued that he acted in self-defense, describing Fields as rude and pushy. According to Coleman, the confrontation escalated when, after reluctantly signing an autograph, Fields criticized him for not including a pleasant message. Irritated by her demands, Coleman tore up the autograph and discarded it, intensifying the situation. Recounting the incident, Coleman stated, "She said to me, 'Well, you're just a little punk-ass buh.' I told her she was really rude, to which she said, 'Well, F you. I'm not going to watch you on television anymore.' And I said, 'No, fuck you, lady.'" Ultimately, Coleman received a $400 fine, a 90-day suspended sentence, and was mandated to attend 52 anger management classes. This incident wasn't the only instance where Coleman's temper led to legal issues. In 2010, he faced arrest due to an outstanding warrant for domestic assault. Gary Coleman, once riding high on the success of Different Strokes, found himself in financial turmoil and eventually filed for bankruptcy. Despite amassing substantial wealth during his time on the show, he confessed that by 1999, it had all vanished. Speaking to People, Coleman attributed the financial strain to the demands of his lifestyle, which included various expenses such as photos, meetings, lunches, dinners, and personal care, requiring a significant amount of money. Additionally, investments, like a failed $200,000 video game parlor venture, contributed to his financial downturn, coupled with a drastic drop in income to just $24,000 for the year. Facing this financial crisis, Coleman decided to file for bankruptcy, acknowledging shared responsibility among himself, accountants, adoptive parents, agents, and lawyers. In a statement reported by Jet, He attempted to view the bankruptcy as a positive step, describing it as the final move in a decade-long effort to shed the burdens of the past and embrace a fresh start. Despite financial struggles, he tried to turn the situation around by partnering with an online platform for a webathon auction to sell off some of his belongings. However, he remained skeptical that the publicity generated would catapult him back onto Hollywood's A-list. Expressing doubt in an interview with The Guardian, Coleman remarked, "I highly doubt that, because something else I've learned is that the only thing which gets you jobs in show business is jobs in show business." In February 2008, Gary Coleman, then 40 years old, disclosed his secret marriage to 22-year-old Shannon Price. The union was unconventional, as the couple had not consummated their relationship. Coleman addressed this aspect on The Insider, stating, "It's my business, it's my issue, and I really don't think it's a problem." Asserting that maintaining his virginity was a personal choice, he added, "It'll happen when it'll happen, and it'll happen for all the right reasons." However, the marriage proved to be tumultuous. In July 2009, Utah's Daily Herald reported Price's arrest and charges of domestic violence and disorderly conduct. Police described a chaotic scene upon arrival at the couple's home. Price was confrontational with the officers, shouting obscenities and causing damage to the bedroom. Although Coleman appeared unharmed, Price continued berating him as she was being taken into custody, exclaiming, "You deserve this after how you treated me." When asked on The Insider if his relationship with Price was volatile, Coleman vehemently denied having a volatile relationship with anyone. As the questioning intensified, Coleman abruptly ended the interview, directing profanities at a panelist before storming off the show. Gary Coleman's tragic death resulted from an accident. On May 27, 2010, reports surfaced that Coleman had been hospitalized once again. The information was limited but alarming. He had been admitted to a hospital in Provo, Utah, and was in critical condition. Additional details emerged, indicating that he had fallen, resulting in a severe head injury. Later that same day, Coleman's manager, John Alcantar, confirmed the devastating news of Coleman's death at the age of 42. It was disclosed that Coleman had been on life support for several days, and his ex-wife, Shannon Price, still presumed to be his wife at the time, made the challenging decision to remove life support. Price's 911 call was later released, revealing her distress upon discovering him unresponsive in a pool of blood. "I just don't want him to die. I'm freaking out like really bad," she told the 911 dispatcher. "Send someone quick because I don't know if he's going to be alive because there's a lot of blood on the floor." The cause of death was determined to be a traumatic intracranial hemorrhage, indicating bleeding around the brain, typically associated with a fall or head injury. An autopsy confirmed the initial reports that Coleman died from natural causes following the fall. 2. Erin Moran. Is Tony Moran connected to Erin Moran? Everyone has to start somewhere, and Erin's initiation into show business has a touch of fairy tale magic. Growing up as one of 6 kids in a non-showbiz family, it's easy to fade into the background. However, from a young age, Erin displayed a keen interest in acting, and her mom nurtured this passion by enlisting her with a talent agency. Erin, along with her brothers John and Tony Moran, brought fame to the Moran family. You might remember 4-year-old John on Happy Days in 1974 as Myron, the kid who shot the Fonz in the face with a squirt gun, establishing his authority with a "what I say goes, dig it." Tony, on the other hand, made guest appearances on the Waltons and Chips, but the real spine-chilling revelation is that he portrayed the unmasked Michael Myers in 1978's Halloween. While Erin's journey into stardom might seem like a Cinderella story, Anson Williams, who has known her since she was 12, disclosed that she never truly escaped the darker aspects of her childhood. Growing up in a fractured home, he described it as a "help, I'm being held prisoner in my room" situation, emphasizing the harsh upbringing she endured. Williams acknowledged that Erin faced numerous challenges throughout the years, stating, "No child should have the family she had. She didn't get the upbringing a child should have, which really makes life hard. She had a lot of problems for a lot of years." Unfortunately, these struggles would continue to impact Erin's life until the very end. Did Erin Moran showcase her singing talent on Happy Days? Joni epitomized the quintessential 50s all-American girl, fun, wide-eyed, beautiful, sweet, and capable of holding her own when the situation demanded it. Interestingly, Erin embodied the full package, seamlessly balancing her Happy Days role with additional appearances on The Love Boat, Hollywood Squares, Galaxy of Terror, and more. However, it was a 1975 episode of The Waltons titled The Song that truly allowed her to display her versatility. Portraying Sally Ann Harper, a love interest for Ben and Jason, Erin brought genuine musical talent to the show, showcasing her angelic voice that left the brothers smitten. In another musical feat, she sang a duet with Scott Baio as Chachi on Happy Days, proving her vocal prowess and standing out even alongside someone who later secured his record deal. It was truly impressive. Did Erin Moran ever experience marital bliss? Throughout her childhood, teenage years, and even early adulthood, Erin was forever linked with Joni. As her early TV opportunities dwindled, Erin found time for romance, twice to be precise. Her first marriage was to Rocky Ferguson in 1987, but true love found her in 1993, when she exchanged vows with her lifelong partner, Stephen Fleischman. Interestingly, they got married in the same year she finalized her divorce from Ferguson. The couple initially settled in California before moving to Indiana to be with Stephen's ailing mother. In the midst of caregiving, they also seemed to enjoy a vibrant social life, reportedly getting kicked out of a trailer park for causing too much of a ruckus. How much did Erin Moran earn from Happy Days? Joni Cunningham's character became synonymous with Erin Moran, gracing not only Happy Days but also sparking a merchandising phenomenon and spin-off shows like Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy. Despite the show's widespread success, the financial side of an actor's life isn't always as lucrative as one might assume, and this reality prompted Erin Moran, along with Anson Williams, Marion Ross, and Don Most, to unite in a well-known lawsuit against the parent company. The lawsuit was initiated because the cast members claimed they weren't receiving the merchandising profits owed to them according to their contracts. These profits encompassed various items such as comic books, lunchboxes, dolls, magnets, T-shirts, and more. Marion Ross got the idea for the lawsuit when a friend informed her about a themed slot, McKenzie game that offered a jackpot if the player obtained her character 5 times. According to the contractual formula, actors were entitled to 5% for their solo image and 2 and 1/2% if featured in a group. CBS contended that the owed amount ranged from $8,500 to $9,000 for each cast member, while the actors insisted on millions in compensation. Notably absent from the legal dispute were Henry Winkler and Ron Howard, with their attorney revealing that Winkler had received proper financial compensation due to numerous merchandising opportunities. Ron Howard, a renowned director, seemed financially secure and wasn't part of the legal wrangling. For Erin Moran, this lawsuit underscored the challenges she faced, never quite achieving fame beyond her Joni Cunningham role. Initially, the judge rejected the cast's demands, but by 2012, reports indicated that the actors would receive an undisclosed amount of money. Anson Williams, expressing satisfaction, provided the only hints about the settlement. What happened to Erin Moran after Happy Days? Happy Days faced a rocky start and a dip in ratings, but a successful overhaul brought it back stronger than ever, putting a spotlight on characters like Joni and Chachi. The iconic love story of Joni and Chachi even earned them a spin-off, appropriately titled Joni Loves Chachi. Despite these efforts, neither Happy Days nor its spin-off could endure, facing challenges with a changing cultural landscape and the show's extensive episode count exceeding 200. For Erin Moran, this transition period marked a downturn in her career momentum. Post-Happy Days, she found herself relegated to bit parts, and as the 90s progressed, even these opportunities dwindled. The decline in work also led to financial difficulties, with reports indicating that Erin and her husband faced foreclosure on their California home. At one point, she resorted to staying at a Holiday Inn Express due to financial constraints. Frequenting an Indiana bar, Erin's struggles became apparent, as she would often share her mantra about losing all her money after a few vodka drinks. Her behavior escalated to the point of getting kicked out multiple times. When she didn't misbehave, she would show up as early as 1:00 in the afternoon, stay for a while, and then place a to-go order. Despite being surrounded by people at the bar, Erin mostly spoke about her husband, expressing a sense of feeling neglected by others. How did Erin Moran pass away? In addition to facing a declining career and an ongoing struggle with depression, Erin Moran was confronted with cancer. In 2017, shortly after celebrating her wedding anniversary, Moran discovered blood on her pillow upon waking up. Initially thought to be a result of biting her tongue while sleeping, the recurring issue led to testing, revealing the harsh reality of throat cancer. The cancer progressed rapidly, leaving Moran unable to eat, drink, or speak, necessitating the use of a feeding tube. Her husband took on the responsibility of feeding her 6 to 8 times a day, further isolating Moran from the outside world. Despite these challenges, there was one bright spot in her life: her Happy Days co-star and longtime friend, Anson Williams. As Moran couldn't speak, the two maintained regular contact through text messages. The diagnosis was particularly devastating for Anson, who believed Moran had been making positive changes in her life. Various treatment attempts proved unsuccessful, and the extent of the cancer's metastasis was kept quiet. By April 2017, Moran was struggling to breathe. One evening, as she watched TV in bed, her husband, Stephen, laid down beside her. Holding her hand, he fell asleep, only to wake up an hour later and find that she had passed away. Upon hearing the news, Anson, who had harbored hope for his co-star, could only respond with tears, a reaction many of us can understand upon learning of such a tragic ending. 3. McKenzie Phillips. Born into rock star royalty and bestowed with talents and opportunities that most people can only dream of, McKenzie Phillips' life has been anything but charmed. The daughter of the Mamas and the Papas founder John Phillips and his first wife, Susan Adams. McKenzie made her mark as a child actress at the tender age of 12, achieving a breakthrough with her big-screen debut in George Lucas's American Graffiti. Her career continued to blossom with notable roles in both film and television, including appearances on TV series like Beretta and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. In 1975, McKenzie's career reached new heights when she secured a role in One Day at a Time, an edgy sitcom produced by Norman Lear, the mastermind behind hits like All in the Family, Sanford and Son, and Maude. The comedy revolved around the life of a single mother, Bonnie Franklin, raising 2 teenage daughters, Valerie Bertinelli and Mackenzie. The show quickly became a ratings sensation, entering the top 20 in its first season and managing to break into the top 10 for its second and third seasons. Ultimately, the show enjoyed a successful run spanning 9 seasons. While the smash hit brought fame to Phillips at a young age, the road ahead for the teen star was fraught with darkness. McKenzie Phillips embarked on a journey with drugs at the tender age of 10. Growing up in the late 1960s within the household of one of pop music's hottest stars, McKenzie's childhood was anything but conventional. Her father, John Phillips, the leader of the Mamas and the Papas, was known for his rock star debauchery and excess, which included a significant amount of drug use. McKenzie candidly shared on Oprah's Where Are They Now? That her father didn't bother hiding his hard-partying antics from his children. Seeing all kinds of out-of-control behavior and inappropriate things became normalized, she revealed, emphasizing that her dad even taught her how to roll a joint when she was just 10 years old. By the age of 11, McKenzie had already experimented with cocaine, influenced by a misguided belief that drug use was a rite of passage and a natural part of growing up. She acknowledged that other factors contributed to her early exposure to drugs, stating, "I come from a long line of undiagnosed mental illness, rampant addiction, and alcoholism, highlighting the presence of a genetic component and an early introduction to such behaviors." At the age of 17, McKenzie Phillips was immersed in the fast-paced Hollywood lifestyle, earning a substantial income as a prominent star on the popular TV sitcom One Day at a Time. With ample financial resources and minimal boundaries, her early experimentation with drugs took a dangerous turn, as she revealed in her 2009 memoir, High on Arrival. The first signs of trouble surfaced around her 18th birthday in November 1977, leading to Phillips's arrest and charges of disorderly conduct. Reports from People indicated that she was found semi-conscious on a West Hollywood street, with police discovering a straw containing a small trace amount of cocaine. Phillips defended herself, insisting it was a misunderstanding and attributing the incident to someone giving her a pill at a party, which turned out to be a Quaalude. Recounting the event to People, she stated, "I'd never taken one before. My knees were like jelly. I asked the guy to take me to a coffee shop, but I fell over just when a deputy came by, so they took me in." Subsequently, Phillips was placed on 6 months probation, requiring her to continue treatment with a psychotherapist she had already been seeing. Describing it as diversion therapy, she humorously noted, "And I'm happily diverted." In 1979, shortly before departing One Day at a Time, the 19-year-old McKenzie Phillips entered into a whirlwind marriage with music producer Jeff Sessler. The union, even by Hollywood standards, proved to be short-lived, with the couple separating just months after tying the knot. Their divorce was officially concluded the following year. In a subsequent interview with People, Phillips disclosed that she and Sessler were introduced through mutual friend Anita Pallenberg, the longtime girlfriend of Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards, both of whom had their own widely publicized struggles with narcotics. Reflecting on the ill-fated union, Phillips acknowledged her drug-induced state of mind at the time, admitting she should have recognized it as a bad decision. "I thought I was in love," she explained, adding, "I was stoned. We were all stoned. It was the drugs talking." Even a year after the separation, bitterness lingered. In the 1981 People interview, Phillips expressed resentment, stating, "Everybody knew he was a climber but me." She criticized her ex-husband for contributing only $800 to the marriage while they spent $300,000. Phillips claimed that he now sought a share of her residuals from the 15 shows she had done during their marriage, characterizing it as a rip-off. McKenzie Phillips and her father, John Phillips, experienced periods of sobriety in 1981, but their commitment to staying clean was short-lived. During the year she was dismissed from One Day at a Time, McKenzie confessed to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on drugs. Meanwhile, her father's addiction had intensified, with him admitting to an annual expenditure of $1 million on heroin and cocaine for himself and his third wife, Genevieve Waite. In an interview with People, McKenzie expressed bewilderment at the vanished funds, stating, "I don't know where it went, but $300,000 to $400,000 is gone, mostly for drugs." She revealed the staggering amount of cash spent, emphasizing, "I mean, $500,000 in cash is gone." By 2014, McKenzie Phillips had entered rehab 11 times. Reflecting on her journey, she shared with People that her final stint in rehab occurred when she recognized hitting rock bottom. The realization prompted her to question, "How many more times does the universe have to knock on the door of my consciousness and say, 'Hey, Phillips, wake up'?" McKenzie Phillips' rock-bottom moment unfolded during a flight from Los Angeles to New York in August 2008. The course of her life took a crucial turn, as reported by the Seattle Times, when she never boarded the flight and, instead, was arrested on suspicion of possession of cocaine and heroin after authorities discovered drugs during airport security screening. Reflecting on her state of mind at the time, Phillips shared with People, "There was an element in me. I had been clean and sober for a long period of time before, so there was this sort of, I know I can do it again, but not today." She acknowledged the internal struggle, saying, "I know I can get sober, but not today, maybe sometime in the future." Her arrest, however, brought a decisive shift. As she described, "The decision was made for me." Handcuffed and taken to a police station, Phillips faced charges of drug possession. Recounting the experience, she remarked, "Sometimes the universe has a plan to stop you in your tracks to save your life. That was that day for me." McKenzie Phillips found redemption through a journey that included rehab, recovery, and a guilty plea. A few months after her arrest at the airport, she stood before a Los Angeles judge and entered a guilty plea to 1 count of felony cocaine possession, as reported by People. During the court proceedings, Phillips expressed her gratitude, stating, "I'd like to take this opportunity to thank law enforcement for stopping me and probably saving my life," addressing Judge Keith L. Schwartz. Following her arrest, Phillips recognized the need for a change and voluntarily enrolled in a drug treatment program. The judge informed her that if she successfully completed the entire 18-month program, the charges would be dropped. Recognizing her progress, the judge commended her, emphasizing, "This is a lifelong battle you're in." This time, Phillips remained committed and completed the entire treatment. Her final court hearing in April 2010, as reported by USA Today, marked the successful conclusion of her agreed-upon terms, with the judge dismissing her case. Attorney Blair Burke acknowledged Phillips's achievement, stating, "McKenzie deserves great credit for seizing the opportunity she was given to get clean and prove she was worthy of the dismissal of her case." 4. Eve Plum. Eve Plum was practically born into the spotlight, given her father's role as a recording company executive and her mother's background as a dancer. Growing up in Burbank, she had a natural proximity to Hollywood. However, with 3 siblings vying for attention, she faced the challenge of standing out. Fate smiled upon her when a talent agent specializing in child actors moved in next door during her youth. This support opened the door to her first audition, which she aced, marking the beginning of a career that started with commercials and extended to various shows. Beyond her iconic role in The Brady Bunch, Eve graced the screens of Lassie, The Big Valley, Family Affair, and even Gunsmoke. Here's a fun tidbit. The dress she wore on Gunsmoke had previously adorned the legendary Shirley Temple, making it a piece of Hollywood history. Although the path to an acting career wasn't pre-planned for Eve, her family rallied to support her once it became clear. Contrary to the dark tales of child stars and controlling parents, Eve experienced the opposite. Her father managed her finances wisely, ensuring no one took advantage. On set, her mother played a protective role without adopting a tyrannical stance, in stark contrast to the stories of meddling parents that circulate, as exemplified in the Mickey Mouse Club video. Ever heard of middle child syndrome? Well, the saying goes that the best stories are the real ones, and life can indeed be stranger than fiction. In the world of the Brady Bunch, this concept found its place. Eve Plum stood out among her co-stars due to her prior experience and industry background. While Barry, Maureen, and Susan also brought some experience to the Brady Bunch table, producer Lloyd J. Schwartz noticed a unique quality in Eve. She always seemed a bit apart from the rest, catching the attention of the show's writers. While Eve's casting was initially linked to her resemblance to the first Mrs. Brady, Joyce Buffon, our Brady Bunch Secrets video explored how appearances played a role in casting decisions. Yet Eve's selection went beyond looks. The executives knew she had substance and could hold her own beyond just a cute face. Interestingly, this sense of loneliness became an integral part of the show, shaping Eve's middle child syndrome storyline. Ironically, the theme of feeling trapped and invisible in the middle turned into one of the most iconic symbols of the Brady Bunch. Who can forget the famous "Marcia, Marcia, Marcia" line? Thanks to Maureen McCormick's memoir, we've got some behind-the-scenes gossip from the Brady house. Exactly the kind of stuff you'd jot down in your diary to keep it away from prying eyes. One recurring gripe among the actors was the lack of character maturity. McCormick, for instance, envisioned Jan staying out past curfew and Marcia hiding a boyfriend in her room. In a quiet act of rebellion, Eve and Maureen would film scenes without wearing bras, engaging in their own brand of mischief as the two sisters navigated the boozy bunch. Eve and Maureen's friendship extended beyond the set, leading them to embark on a cruise together. Sailing the open seas, they enjoyed rum and cokes, indulged in wine, and, as the alcohol flowed, they humorously coined themselves the Boozy Bunch. Despite this teenage rebellion, Eve managed to steer clear of addictive substances, a notable contrast to McCormick's struggles with cocaine addiction and Mike Lookinland's battle with alcoholism. As the Brady Bunch stars navigated the complexities of growing up, love triangles naturally emerged. Christopher Knight found himself free to entertain crushes on Susan Olsen and later Eve Plum. As everyone matured, Chris arranged a romantic evening with Eve in his pickup truck, complete with candles, drinks, and blankets under the stars. The idyllic scene was interrupted when the police crashed their party. Eve also found herself entangled in other romantic plots, driven by her crush on Knight. During a London cruise, Barry Williams orchestrated a plan to bond with Maureen. While the boys roomed together and the girls shared accommodations, Barry cleverly orchestrated Eve's presence in their room, allowing him to spend quality time with Maureen alone in the adjacent space. Eve's journey to find her soulmate didn't unfold on the work front. Surprisingly, she was the first among her TV siblings to get married in 1979. However, the marital bliss was short-lived, and the couple parted ways less than 2 years later. Fortunately, in 1995, she exchanged vows with a tech consultant, and their union has endured ever since. The couple has chosen to remain a family of two, with no plans to expand, as the topic of having children was never on the table for Eve. She emphasized the importance of making such decisions based on personal desire rather than societal expectations, and mentioned that if she were to have kids, adoption would be her chosen path. Taking a closer look at Eve's career, her resume predominantly features prominent roles in anything associated with the name Brady. However, her involvement in other projects was typically limited to one-episode appearances, and her film career had a notably sparse presence. Eve, however, took these fluctuations in stride, attributing them to the natural ebb and flow of the industry. Despite the varied roles, she remained forever associated with Jan Brady. However, this association underwent a significant shift with her next major role in the 1976 TV movie Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway, where she portrayed a teenage prostitute challenging societal norms with the declaration, "I told you I'm 18, I don't care if you're 45. Eve Plum embraced the change of pace, finding playing a character like a hooker to be enjoyable. However, things got a bit awkward during costume shopping when she went with her mom, leading to some regrets. While the Brady Bunch propelled Eve to new heights, it's essential to recognize her prior accomplishments and significant work. Despite her established acting career, her knockout performance in Dawn surprised many, with some acting as if her talent had suddenly emerged out of nowhere. In response, she reminded reporters, "Don't forget, I've been acting since I was 6 years old, and I've lived in Hollywood most of my life." Eve's complex relationship with her character Jan became apparent to everyone, and Christopher Knight noted that Eve had the most challenging time returning to the role. This is why she didn't participate in the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. which required a 5-year commitment. Reflecting on her situation, Eve acknowledged the challenges of growing up in the public eye, stating, "We all grow up, but not everyone wants us after we do." She described returning to the role of Jan as taking one for the team and expressed that while she doesn't outright regret this career-defining role, there are moments when she wishes people would see her for who she is without the Jan Brady association. She emphasized, "Sometimes I wish it would go away. Yes, sometimes I wish people would just see me as I am and forget that life imitates art, imitates life." In an effort to distinguish herself from the beautiful Marcia and adorable Cindy, Eve sought a unique trait and found it through art. As an adult settling in California, she became a member of a local design review board showcasing her painting skills. Some of her artwork now graces prestigious studios, with her favorite subject being still life paintings, a hobby she picked up to pass the time between acting gigs. This artistic talent extends to home decor and design, making her a perfect fit for the Brady house. Her return to the Brady Bunch for HGTV's A Very Brady Renovation was a joyous occasion, aligning with a big dream of hers. The renovation served as a therapeutic experience, allowing her to navigate the familiar set with the right walls and ceilings. Jan utilized her artistic talents to recreate several pieces of artwork from the show, adding a special touch to the renovated home. For those interested in Eve Plum's creations, she sells paintings and handmade mugs, her latest crafting venture. However, you won't find her parting with the storage units filled with Brady Bunch-themed items she has cherished over the years. 5. David Cassidy. In the 70s, David Cassidy emerged as an icon. It was a familiar sight to spot posters of this teen heartthrob adorning the bedrooms of junior high girls all over America. Rising to prominence as the breakout star of The Partridge Family, Cassidy's fame transcended his TV family even after the series concluded. Despite his glamorous and highly public life when the cameras were rolling, the star grappled with profound troubles behind the scenes. Let's delve into David Cassidy's life behind the camera and the lasting legacy he has left behind. In the fall of 1970, Jones and Cassidy were cast in The Partridge Family, a beloved musical sitcom. Portraying mother and son alongside Danny Bonaduce and Susan Day, Cassidy took on the role of teen heartthrob Keith Partridge, which would become inseparable from his public image. Interestingly, at the start, no one was sure if he could sing. Producers, captivated by his androgynous appearance, cast him with the belief that he could become an instant icon. Shortly before production kicked off, Cassidy managed to persuade the show's music producer to let him use his own voice. As it turned out, he wasn't just able to sing, he could sing exceptionally well. This led to him becoming the lead singer of the series, solidifying his role in the fictional family. As the Partridge Family soared in popularity, with fictional hits like I Think I Love You, Cassidy emerged as a bona fide icon. This marked the beginning of his solo career. His debut single, a cover of the association's Cherish, reached number 9 in the United States and number 2 in the UK, catapulting him to instant success. Cassidy embarked on tours, performing a mix of Partridge Family classics and his solo tracks. Throughout the Partridge Family series, Cassidy produced 10 albums with his on-screen family and an additional 5 solo albums. Notably, hits like Daydreamer propelled his solo work beyond the realm of his on-screen accomplishments. Cassidy despised being pigeonholed as a teen idol and yearned to be recognized as a serious musician. The situation wasn't helped by the media coining the term Cassidy mania to describe the frenzies he incited in public appearances. It's unsurprising that, by 1972, he regularly sold out venues with audiences exceeding 56,000 people. In a memorable feat, Cassidy managed to sell out New York's Madison Square Garden in just one day. His fan base was so fervent that it led to riots during the performances. The level of mass hysteria reached such heights after selling out Australia's Melbourne Cricket Ground in 1974 that there were actual petitions to have him deported. Despite enjoying considerable success in the 1970s with multiple hit albums and being a prominent star, David Cassidy found himself financially strained in the 80s. Whether it was due to a faltering acting career, an unsuccessful TV series, or the fact that none of his later 70s albums made it onto the U.S. charts, he seemingly hadn't saved much from his Partridge Family heydays. In an effort to make ends meet, Cassidy delved into musical theater. He participated in the pre-Broadway production of Little Johnny Jones. Regrettably, he was replaced by teen idol Donny Osmond before it reached Broadway, largely because of numerous unfavorable reviews. Cassidy's ascent in the music scene was greatly influenced by his muse, Meryl Tanz. Their romantic involvement became the focal point of his album Romance, featuring the chart-topping pan-European hit She Knows All About Boys. The initial encounter between Cassidy and Tanz occurred at a horse sale in 1974, leading to their marriage in 1984. Beyond their personal connection, they also ventured into a horse breeding and racing business. Unfortunately, their partnership came to an end with a divorce in 1986. Coinciding with the divorce from Meryl Tanz, Cassidy became a father in the same year. Katie Cassidy, born out of Cassidy's relationship with model Sherry Williams, entered the picture. The nature of Cassidy's connection with Williams remains uncertain, but grappling with his newfound role as a father presented its challenges. A year after introducing At the Copa, he unveiled his platinum-selling album Then and Now. This marked his return to the top 5 of the UK album charts for the first time since 1974. Riding on the success of Then and Now, he secured several film cameos, notably portraying Aaron Carter's manager and pop star. Unbeknownst to many, Cassidy had been grappling with personal struggles throughout his career. In 2008, Cassidy publicly disclosed his battle with alcohol and substance abuse. Unfortunately, the star's trajectory took a downward turn when he faced a series of DUI charges between 2010 and 2014, despite registering just 0.02% above the legal limit the second time. In 2014, David Cassidy received a 5-year probation sentence and a 90-day stint in alcohol rehab following his second DUI arrest in 6 months. This incident served as a profound wake-up call for him. During an interview with Piers Morgan, Cassidy expressed the gravity of the situation, stating, "If I take another drink, I'm going to die. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I'm dead." He acknowledged the relentless grip of alcoholism, emphasizing that for an alcoholic, having just one sip or one drink spells disaster. After completing his court-mandated rehab, Cassidy resumed his musical endeavors. However, in 2015, he faced another driving-related incident. Although not tested for alcohol and drugs, he confronted potential penalties of up to 60 days in jail and 6 months of probation for leaving the scene of a car crash. Reports suggested that Cassidy, allegedly driving at an excessive speed, collided with another car and fled the scene. He briefly attempted to obscure his license plate before being discovered at a hospital during a scheduled visit. Given his 3 previous DUIs and a suspended license, this incident posed a significant legal challenge for the troubled actor. It may have appeared that Cassidy had a relapse when audience members noticed slurred speech during a 2015 performance, but that wasn't the case. In 2017, the star openly revealed his battle with dementia. Given that Cassidy's grandfather and mother both struggled with the disease, he decided to halt touring due to the worsening condition. "I want to focus on what I am, who I am, and how I've been without any distractions," he shared with People. "I want to love. I want to enjoy life." Cassidy, fortunately, didn't have to endure the full course of his dementia struggle, as he passed away before it progressed. His fear of experiencing a fate like his mother's, who could barely recognize him, was eased. Contrary to initial beliefs, An A&E documentary later disclosed that the singer never quit drinking, and his dementia was solely attributed to alcoholism. It wasn't a permanent brain disease, but rather a temporary condition. In November 2017, Cassidy was urgently hospitalized in critical condition. According to TMZ, his organs were failing, and he required a liver transplant. Complications included kidney failure, leading to an induced coma. Unfortunately, he passed away a few days later, surrounded by his family. 6. Dana Plato. Back in the 1980s, Dana Plato's death would have been a devastating shock. However, by the time the former Different Strokes actress passed away in 1999, at the age of 34, not many were surprised. It was evident that she had faced a fate commonly experienced by other children and teen stars. Dana Plato was born on November 7, 1964, in Maywood, California. Originally named Dana Michelle Strain, she was adopted by Dean and Kay Plato when she was just a baby. Growing up in the San Fernando Valley, Dana experienced her adoptive parents' divorce when she was 3 years old. The biography notes that after the split, Dana was primarily raised by her adoptive mother, Kay Plato, who soon started taking her to casting calls. This led to Dana making appearances in commercials. At the age of 13, she received a life-changing opportunity, the chance to star in a TV sitcom. Excitedly, the young teen accepted, landing the role of Kimberly Drummond on the NBC show Different Strokes. The sitcom skyrocketed to success, turning its young cast, including Dana Plato, Gary Coleman, and Todd Bridges, into stars. However, the instant fame also brought the pitfalls of Hollywood excess, and Plato, alongside her young co-stars, started experimenting with alcohol, marijuana, and cocaine. Navigating the challenges of sudden success without healthy coping mechanisms led to trouble for the young actress. In 1983, Plato moved in with her future husband, guitarist Lanny Lambert, and became pregnant around the age of 19 or 20. As a result, she was written out of Different Strokes the following year. According to USA Today, producers were concerned that Plato's personal life was tarnishing the wholesome image of her character and the show. Although Dana Plato no longer held a starring role on Different Strokes, she did make a return for the show's final seasons as a recurring guest star. However, in the years following the birth of her son Tyler, she encountered difficulties securing roles that would establish her as a serious actress. Soon enough, Plato found herself accepting roles in B-movies and adult films to make ends meet. Concurrently, she plunged deeper into drug addiction and alcoholism, problems that were increasingly taking control of her life. Her personal challenges escalated in the late 1980s, particularly when her marriage ended, and she lost her mother. Plato's ex-husband ultimately gained legal custody of their son due to her ongoing addiction. In 1989, Plato hoped that a Playboy photo shoot would open doors in the entertainment industry and bring about positive changes in her life. Unfortunately, no significant opportunities materialized. Meanwhile, her newly hired accountant allegedly embezzled a substantial portion of her savings. Feeling defeated, Plato relocated to Las Vegas in another attempt to revive her career, but steady work remained elusive. In 1991, she faced further setbacks when she was arrested for robbing a video store in Sin City. Plato made minimal effort to conceal her identity, and the clerk promptly recognized her. The clerk dialed 911 and famously reported to the dispatcher, "I've just been robbed by the girl who played Kimberly on Different Strokes." Shortly after, the police apprehended her, and Plato received a 5-year probation sentence. However, trouble found her again a year later, this time for forging prescriptions for Valium. According to the Associated Press, Plato was sentenced to an additional 5 years of probation. Despite being mandated to attend rehab, it seemed to have little impact. Although she insisted she was clean and sober, her loved ones harbored doubts about her claim and remained concerned for her well-being. Throughout this period, Plato continued to land roles only in low-budget films, lingering on the outskirts of the entertainment industry. On May 7, 1999, Dana Plato made a heartfelt appearance on The Howard Stern Show, repeatedly asserting her sobriety. However, instead of finding the supportive environment she may have hoped for, many callers ridiculed her, accusing her of being stoned during the show. Provoked and angered, Plato offered to undergo a drug test to prove her cleanliness, even allowing a producer to cut off pieces of her hair. Yet, according to the New York Post, Howard Stern claimed that Plato privately pleaded with him not to test her hair once they were off the air. She said, "I want my hair back." "That's when I knew she was lying," Stern remarked. "That's when I knew she must have been on drugs." Tragically, just one day later, Stern and the rest of America discovered that testing Plato's hair for drugs wouldn't be necessary. On May 8, 1999, Dana Plato passed away from an overdose at the age of 34. Her body was found in an RV she shared with her fiancé, Robert Menchaca, in Moore, Oklahoma, where she was visiting family members. Initially, the police believed Plato's death to be an accident. However, a medical examiner later classified her passing as a suicide, pointing to the elevated levels of drugs in her system, including fatal concentrations of the muscle relaxant soma and a generic form of the painkiller Lortab, alongside her history of ending her life tendencies. No suicide note was ever discovered. Regrettably, the repercussions of Dana Plato's death would extend to her son, Tyler Lambert, who was only 14 years old at the time. Although he had predominantly grown up with his paternal grandmother, the tragic end of his mother deeply affected him, leading him down a path of substance abuse. On May 6, 2010, just 2 days before the 11th anniversary of his mother's passing, Tyler Lambert took his own life by fatally shooting himself. He was 25 years old. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK-8255. Now, we want to hear from all of you. Who was your favorite child star among those we mentioned, and who do you think handled the immense fame the best? Did we miss someone who should have been on this list? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know your opinions on all these incredibly memorable child stars. If you enjoyed our compilation, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a beat. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.